What's up guys, I'm Simon here with Zeon Off-Road, and today we're going to be installing our assault front bumper on Zach's Xterra here. This is going to be a pretty straightforward install. It's heavy, so we'll need 2 people, but yeah, we'll get to it. So here's the bumper itself. Luckily it's got a giant handle built into it, but we're going to have our recovery points here. We've got room to mount up to a 12,000 pound winch, 30-inch light bar, light pods, 5mm steel all around with much thicker recovery points here. We're really happy with how this turned out, and we're excited to get it installed and get it on Zach's truck. So first thing we're going to do is take the wheels off, and we're going to pull the fender liners out. From there, we're going to take the grill and the bumper off, and we'll be ready to install our assault bumper. Let's get the wheels off. So we'll do the same thing on the other side, but I'll go ahead and show you a quick glimpse of what we're going to be dealing with on the fender liners. I think this one is missing some clips that would go here, here, likely one up there. Also one up here, it looks like. So we've got some Phillips screws here on the mud flap, and then we've got 2 more up on the bumper right here as well. Once we've got the bumper installed, we'll still be able to run the fender liner. We're just gonna have to trim it to fit. So keep track of all the hardware if you do want to run your fender liner after. I missed this. There's 2 more Phillips up under here as well. 1 more Phillips head right here. Got one right there. Looks like we're about ready. Alright. That's that. There's our fender liner, nice and easy. So we'll just put this aside and we'll do the other wheel, other fender liner, and go from there. So we got a lot of brackets here with this kit. If you've got a facelifted Xterra, so 2009 plus, you're gonna run these filler brackets. Basically, I'll show you where these go, but they just go up on the areas to the right and left of the grill and fill in the gap left by that difference in grill, make it look nice and clean. If you don't have facelifted Xterra, so 05 to 08, you just won't need these, so you can set these aside. These are brackets that go up underneath where your recovery points would mount up, and they tie the front face of the bumper into the lower half of the frame. These are the primary frame brackets, so these go just right where your crash bar would have been. These guys are for mounting a light bar. This slot is actually on the center line of the cutout, so you won't have to worry about adjusting your light bar up and down. You can just set it at the angle that you want. So you'll bolt these up, put your light bar bolts through here, and you'll be good to go on that front. And then your kit should come with a big bag of hardware like this. We got washers for all the bolts. These big ones go on these main frame brackets and hold the actual structure of the bumper to the brackets. So there's 2 different positions based on whether or not your body lifted. We'll show that in a little bit. We've got some shorter bolts here that are gonna go through the front faces of these brackets into the frame. These ones are going to go up underneath to those recovery point sections. These are M16 nuts that tie into the largest bolts, you know, that hold the bumper structure to these brackets. Washers for that, washers for the M12 bolts, and then M6 nuts to hold the light brackets and the facelift brackets on. But yeah, so these are your brackets. Keep track of all this, and I'll show you where it all goes on the bumper itself. So this truck has factory fog lights. We're just going to go ahead and unplug those so they don't get tangled up as we're pulling the bumper off. So you can see that's really easy to do. There's a connector right here, so we can just grab the back of that and see. Sometimes they're a little bit stubborn, so you actually pull up on this. So we're missing some clips on the grill here, but we've got 6 total that hold it on. So we'll want to pull the grill first. Get this, and same on the other side. We can use either a clip tool or a flathead. All right, and we'll keep track of these. Sometimes they get old and worn out, so we might just replace them, but regardless, I'll set them aside. The grill from here is pretty straightforward. You'll just have to reach in, and it's gonna be hard to show on camera, but there are little tabs that go into the bumper itself. You can reach up underneath and pop those tabs and pop the grill out. So we'll just reach in and pop each one of those tabs, and I'll show you a little bit better once we've got this out. There it is. We'll set this aside. These are the, let's see, we got 4 tabs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, so you just push that in and it'll pop right out. It looks like this truck actually already has them removed, but there would ordinarily be clips here, 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 and there. So with the main clips on the center section of the bumper removed, we're actually pretty close to being able to remove the rest. We've got a hex head bolt right here, also a Phillips, I believe. That's gonna be a 10 mil. We can just loosen that up. I believe this just, no, we'll take that all the way out. And then this is just clips through here, so it'll pop out there. And then we'll make sure nothing's hanging us up on the skid plate section either. So yeah, we'll go and take that out. So as with a few other places, I think the splash guard might be missing hardware. It looks like you would have bolts in these locations that this one just doesn't have. So I think all that's holding this on are these 2 10 mils. So we'll pull these out, we'll drop our splash guard, we'll go from there. Yep. So we'll set this aside. We probably won't put this back on. We'll probably upgrade skid plates down the road, but we'll still set it aside. All right, last thing we can do while we're down here is go ahead and preemptively remove this recovery point. So we'll grab an impact, and I want to say those are 17s, but we'll double check. So just so you guys know, these threads in general tend to be finicky, I guess, to say the least. So before we put everything back on here, we're gonna run bolts through and make sure they're all clean and threaded nicely. But just be careful not to, try your best, I guess, not to mess these threads up. We'll be fine using an impact to take it out, but if yours are in rough shape, be careful putting it back in with an impact. Just something to watch out for. Luckily, we've got new hardware to replace that with, so nothing to worry about. So we'll lower the truck down and pull the plastic bumper off. So we've got a 10 mil right here. We'll go ahead and loosen that up. And this is gonna be the same on the other side as well. You'll want a friend for this. We're just gonna go ahead and pop this out. Yep, so it pops out there. Good to go. There it is. So keep this nice for Zach. We'll just set it aside. So you'll see we've got a lot of stuff going on in here. We've got these air guides. We're not going to retain these for this install. We're just going to set them aside so we have easier access to reach in, clean things out. This is a 10 mil. Yeah, 2 bolts per leg on this bracket. So I guess 6 total. I guess before I pull this all the way off, it looks like we got a harness attached to it. Next thing that needs to go is the crash bar. These are going to be 17s as well. Usually, I guess, being in Georgia, we don't have to deal with rust too much. This truck's starting to see a little bit of rust. I think that's why that bolt was so hard to take out. So we're gonna clean up these threads, sand this down, paint it, and then we'll be able to start installing the assault bumper. All right, so this is an M12-125. That's important. The standard thread size for M12 is 1.5, but this is a 1.25. So don't run a 1.5 through here. Wanna make sure that the pitch is correct, but since we've got that, we can go ahead and start this and just make sure that thread is nice and clean. I'm gonna reverse the direction when you're doing this. Sometimes it's a good habit to go in a couple turns, back out, go in a couple turns, back out. So reverse my direction. So you see a little bit of dirt came out. That'll just help protect the threads as we run this through, just being able to back that dirt out. I'm just gonna use a little PB blaster. That's what I would use if I were doing this in my garage. So just a little squirt, and then just make sure that that catches with the original threads. So we don't want to form new threads entirely. We just want to clean them up. If your threads aren't too bad, I would actually use a chase. It's not meant to create a hole or a threaded hole from nothing. It's meant to just clean up threads. But since that one on the front face was so bad, we're just using a tap for all of them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sand a little bit of this rust off, and then we can paint over it just to keep it from getting worse. Cool, so we got all the holes cleaned up, so we'll go ahead and put the frame brackets in place. I'll show you guys where those go. All right, so we've got our right side frame bracket here. We'll just go ahead and set this in place. We've got these shorter M12 bolts, plain shed. We use grade 10.9 JIS hardware for this, so the hex is actually a little smaller, even though it's a 10.9 bolt. And then this third slot is going to meet up with that bracket that we showed you earlier that wraps up under the frame. So we'll do that in just a minute. I'm going to get these finger tight, but I'm going to leave them a little bit more towards the outside of the truck so that when we tighten the main bolts that hold it in, they'll pull them in towards the bumper. Now we'll go ahead and start the brackets that go up underneath all this. So we're going to have some longer M12 bolts here. We're going to go ahead and start these up for the brackets that go underneath the frame side, and then these shorter bolts are going to go and attach those two brackets together, which I'll show you in just a second. These are also flanged, but we're going to throw some washers on these. Go ahead and get the driver's side frame bracket started. So we've got our shorter bolt here. Start that right into here. So this bracket here is going to bolt up right there. And if you have a skid plate or anything like that, this would be a good time to check that, make sure you've got your stack order correct. The Z1 off-road skid plate would actually go underneath this bracket, but it's got enough tolerance to be able to accept it in either position. And we'll leave these kind of loose until the very end and set them in the position that they need to be. I guess we can go ahead and tighten these guys up. So we're ready to go ahead and lift the bumper up into place. Basically, it's going to go inside the frame here, and then we're going to run these bolts from the outside in, start the nuts on them just to get it to hang in place, and then we'll set the position of it right where we want it and tighten everything up. As we mentioned earlier, this thing is about 130 pounds, so probably best to have two people. Or you can use a jack. Can be done with one, but two people is going to be easier. So we'll go ahead and lift it up into place and go from there. So since this truck's not body lifted, we've got our M16 bolts in this top hole and second from the bottom there. We ran these bolts from the inside out. You could do it either way. In this configuration, we'll have a little bit more room for winch and reaching in here, whatnot, but would work just fine in either position. There's a cutout on the front face down here, that we're gonna use to tighten up some of these bolts. So just be aware of that. But now that we've got all these loosely started, we're gonna snug them up just a little bit and leave it to where we can still move it. And we'll set it in the exact position that we want it and tighten everything down for real. All right, so we actually forgot a step that we're gonna show you real quick. Basically, we've almost got our bumper installed, but we forgot to take these little bumper retainers off. So luckily I can just reach in here with 10 mil and pop these out. So we're gonna use a jack and we're just gonna kind of set this, or partially use this to set it in the position that we want it. So this will give us the up direction and we'll just set the tilt by hand. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So we've got the position of the bumper set pretty much exactly where we want it. So now really all we have to do is just start tightening things up. You know, most everything's hand tight right now, so we're just gonna make sure it's all nice and torqued. So that's on there pretty good now. If you have lighting or winch, anything like that, this would be a good time to go ahead and install that while it's still all open. We'll go ahead and put the brackets up in place so you can see where they would go, but we're gonna hold off on lighting for today. I'll show you, if you had the facelifted grill, I'll show you where these would go. Basically, you would have one per side and there's studs up underneath here, which you can just kind of feel around for. And they would pop on like that, and you would start your 10 mils on the back side. Now, obviously that's hard to see, but it's right here, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better in the install guide as well. But this truck doesn't need that since it is pre-facelift, so I'm gonna pull it back off. These brackets are what would hold a light bar on. And there are two studs right here. So just kind of reach in, feel around for them, you'll find it pretty easy. Or you could even install your light bar before you install the bumper. So grill can go back on now. So go ahead and put the fender liners back in. You can see it overhangs a good bit, so we'll get that trimmed up in just a minute, but just to kind of get a feel for it, see how it lines up. Go ahead and start some of the clips. So last thing we need to do is trim our fender liners to fit, and that's gonna be pretty straightforward. If you got a nice enough pair of scissors, you can actually do this with scissors. But basically, I'm gonna cut from basically everything that you can see. So I'm gonna start on the inside and work my way out and up. But it doesn't really matter exactly how you do this, kind of personal preference. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. So I'm just following this line down from the corner and up, and then I'll clean up that little piece in just a second. Go ahead and trim that so we got a nice smooth edge. There it is. That was the install of our assault bumper on Zach's Xterra. If you want an assault bumper for your Xterra, check it out at z1offroad.com.